Hi, this is just a sample of a lecture, and actually what I'll try to do is quickly go through the presentation you're about to hear. So what I'm going to have here is a little bit on Quizlet, a little bit on Screencast, and how to interface them with Moodle. Let's look at Quizlet. Now for Quizlet, it's used for learning vocabulary. There's some major steps to it. You go into Quizlet.com, create your login, password, and then first thing you do is create a class. And when you create a class, it allows you to, decide if you can have other people add things to your study set. You can decide which school you go to. I've got it set up just for our campus, but if you're having to be teaching at multiple campuses, you may want different presentations. Once you create a class, then you create a study set. Now, a study set is basically just a list of terms and definitions that you want to cover. Now, there's a couple of ways of entering the terms. One, you can manually enter them, type in the word, and then type in the definition. Now, Quizlet will try to guess or give you choices as far as words you're typing in and definitions, which I think is sometimes kind of neat. But based on the class you're teaching, you just got to be careful when you select one of their definitions. You can change that. Or you can import them from Word, Excel. I've got a lot of online books, so I'll do a copy and paste. And then Quizlet will allow you to say, how do I delineate, how do I, you know the word, how do I determine between a word and a definition? By default, there's a tab between the term and the definition, and then a new line at the end of the definition that you can go to the next word. So I use a copy and paste with the online books, but you can enter them all in Excel, you can enter in Word. You just got to decide which way it goes. Then what you do is, once you've got all your terms in, you press Create. Create then creates your study set. Now, once you've got your study set, you can do a couple of different things. One, if you've allowed students to join your Quizlet class, and you can do that. I usually import it to Moodle, so all I want is give me a link to this data file. So I close out, hit my copy, create my create, and then I go to, once you create that list, you'll find a list of things that you can do with the terms you've just created. What I go to is on the far right side, that gives you a lot of export options, and it's by that ... list. And then since I'm going to embed it into Moodle, I go down and then select the embed link. Now, when you do that, it says, what do you want to embed? What link do you want to embed? And there's 4 or 5 different types that you can choose from. I choose flashcards, because once you get into Moodle, in Quizlet and Moodle, the student can choose which study set, how they want to study those terms. So I select flashcards and then hit copy link. Then what I do is now I go over to Moodle, and then in that week that I'm creating this, inserting this, I go to the resources, I choose the page resource. I choose page 1 because I can tell how many times a student hits this. If you'd actually had students join Quizlet, you could actually get scores from it. But since I just use it as a resource for them to learn, I don't take a score, but you could if you wanted to. You enter a title and description, and in that page content area, you want to slide all the way to the far right-hand side, and there's more button, and you can kind of see it looks like another little computer screen, which us techie guys like. And then when that opens up, you see another set of buttons, and on the far left side, there's an HTML button. And for those of you who are familiar with HTML, most of the statements have greater than and less sign brackets around them. Once I select, now I paste the HTML code that I had copied from Quizlet into that section, save, and restore. So that's all I need to do to get Quizlet into it. Now, once a student presses on the Quizlet link in Moodle, it opens up showing them different terms, and then they can choose different styles, and it's fun to play with. Now let's go over Screencast. Now, Screencast-O-Matic is I used to create videos. As I said in the introduction, I've looked for ways to improve, especially for the online classes and even my networking classes. I wanted them to have more time in class to play with live equipment. For the online classes, I wanted something that was more interactive. So started investigating different technologies and stuff and says, flipped classroom, which basically is, okay, the students do a lot of the research outside, create some videos, other outside learning activities, and then different in-class other than me being the sage on stage environment, which I find boring, and you can tell after the first 5 minutes, most students find something on the computer to do or something on their phone to do. So go to screencastomatic.com, create an account. I would download and install their application, their video editor. Now, if you're going to make videos 15 minutes or less, it's free. If you want to go longer than that, there's a fee, $38 a year or something like that. Now, when you're getting ready to create your video, you open the video editor, and the little red button up top says record. Press record, and a screen to the lower left-hand side will say these are the settings for this video. Verify the amount of time you're going to record, the screen size. I usually choose full screen size, but you can choose anything you want. Make sure the mic's working, so on and so forth. Once I've done that, I can close out that window that comes up, and then I press the record button. When I'm done recording, guess what? Press done. Then Screencast will do some work, and you'll see on the bottom left-hand side, it shows you that it's creating the video file. And then it says, okay, how do you want to save it? And the default one is I can save it to my computer. You can upload it to Screencast, or you can upload it to YouTube. I've never updated to Screencast, but I have done to my computer and YouTube. I started with YouTube and then switched to my computer. It just gave me more flexibility. So, personal choice. If you want to be a YouTuber, this may be a good way to get points and credits and things of that nature. Now that you created this stuff, you saved your video, what do you have to do to get it installed into Moodle? I use it in two ways. I use it I create a label and give the students a kind of a week at a glance, or I give them a lecture. Right now I'm debating, I've played both ways with the lecture, whether it's short 10-minute snippets or the full-blown 35, 40, 45-minute lecture. I've asked students which way do they like it. Majority of them lean towards a full lecture. Now, I can't tell how much of the lecture they watched. I can tell how many times they watched, but I can't tell did they watch the whole thing or did they fall asleep, and who knows. So when I do a label, I go to the Add Resources in Moodle, select Label, I enter the title, enter description, and then there's an Insert Media button. And then, whoops, I need to change this. Shoot. Let me get back to... There's an Insert Media button like that I choose. Then it asks me to browse repository, hits browse, and what Screencast does is when you create a video and save it to your computer, it puts it into a Screencast folder and a recordings folder. But you can save it to your desktop, you can do anything, but by default it's Screencast-O-Matic/recordings. Select the video, make sure you select the MP4 file, not the folder. It creates a folder with a bunch of administrative stuff and the MP4 file. Select the MP4, save, and you're done. Once you save that label, the video will actually show up underneath the title because you've inserted it in the text. Now for the lecture, I use a page content similar to what we did with Quizlet. So except in the media area, I do insert media, or in the page content area, I insert media. And then do the same browse repository, browse, select the video, and save. The video doesn't appear like it does in Week at a Glance, but at least that gives them actual, when they click the link, the video appears and goes on. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of flavoring for what Quizlet and Screencast can do to help your online or your seated classes. And hope you enjoyed it. If you not, give me some questions.